Yes, that's right, everybody. The Bro Show is back.
We are live! Oh, for booting up cold!
Groovy.
No, Husband Eater has a headache in his whole body.
How am I gonna fix that?
Give me some sugar, baby.
I don't think so.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Yes.
Oh, great! We're all gonna die!
Perkalabba ding dong.
Isn't that adorable?
Good evening. Are you ready? It's time for the hype of the night, the Breaux Show. And now, here's everybody's favorite two-stepping host, Michael Breaux.
Well, hey there, hi there, ho there, everybody. Welcome back to the Bro Show. After about a year hiatus, we are back live here from the Breaux Show Studios, and we're just we wanted to come back today because we got a lot going on and a lot of things are happening, but this is just a special show. This is episode 59 for March 29, 2018 of 2018. That's right. We're here to talk about something special to me. But before we do, let's get on over to our sponsors for the show. First up, of course, is going to be... Well, now, there we go. RetroCon 2018. That's right. RetroCon 2018 is already scheduled and ready to be out there for October 13th and 14th, 2018. The convention for the retro fan and you. If you've already looking at the screen now and you've been to their Facebook page, to their Instagram, to everything else, you know that they've got announced four great guests coming up, including Samantha Newark, the voice of Jem from the Jem and the Holograms 80s cartoon. Greg Berger, the voice of Grimlock, and so many different Transformers, G.I. Joe, and more out there. Oh, I can't wait to meet him. I've never met him, nor have I met Samantha Newark, or the Princess of Power herself, She-Ra, from the original cartoon, Melody Britt. I can't wait to meet her. And then, of course, finally, that's just Prime. Optimus Primal himself, Gary Chalk, will be at RetroCon. I can't wait, man. I cannot wait to meet all of these guys. I hope I get to, have lunch, share a banana with Gary Chalk. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Yes, I said share a banana with Gary Chalk. Hey, I've been away too long, haven't I? Anyway, folks, okay, so moving on, we're going to go ahead and keep on going. We also have JoeBattleLines. Be sure to visit JoeBattleLines.com for all of your Joe news, fun, reviews, anything and everything out there that you can think of that you need to know, they need to know. So go check it out. And also, finally, we're going to go to Deer Park Water. Of course, the unofficial official drink of the Bro Show, Deer Park, where it tastes like real deer. Woohoo! All right, folks. So, yes, let's go ahead and let Spin Master Snakes play us some music here that will get us going for the day itself. And you know what? I think we're all going to hear it this time.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. We got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid.
From bike to train to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz!
I don't want to grow up. Cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy!
I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Oh, yes, that's right, folks. We had to... Spin Master Snakes, thank you, man. Thank you. We really needed to hear that, actually, because we've got so much to talk about here. And really, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what's going to be happening in just a moment. But I do want to introduce, of course, we have our normal in-studio guest. And always here, we got Judge Deer. Hi, Judge Deer. How you doing? All right, folks. And then we also have intern there number 4. A little bit older, a little bit wiser. Been seeing him visiting or her visiting outside of the Breaux Show Studios a lot here lately. What have you been noticing out there? Okay, so you're saying you saw cats? Hey, cats. Hey, hey, hey. Hey. No, I'm not going to go there. Okay, so, and then of course, Alf. Alf? Whoa. I think Alf is, hey, what are you doing out there, Breaux Show? Oh, there he is. How you doing today, Alf? I'm doing fine. I heard intern deer number 4 talking about a lot of cats. Well, yeah, there's been some cats outside. I guess they're, being fed by one of the local neighbors, and they're cute kitties and whatnot. Cute kitties, that means they're tasty. Ha! I knew he was going to go there, folks. I'm so sorry. Alf, go play in the strawberry shortcake house. Okay, I bet I'll find custard out there to eat. Oh, a custard pie? No, custard the cat. Ha! I knew that was coming. Anyway, all right. So tonight's show, folks, is just one where I'm going to talk about a little bit about my own memories of Toys R Us. And I know a lot of you have been hearing a lot of the news that's been out there lately. And this is a tough one. This is tough for me. So there's a lot of headlines out there in the last 3-4 months or so, and really over the last 6 months to a year about Toys R Us. As you know, Bro Patrol, as no of you know out there, things are not looking good for Jeffrey the Giraffe and the Toys R Us stores at all. It's just really not. They've had several challenging years in a newer digital marketplace. And let's be honest, from some of the reports we're seeing and everything too, they're having a lot of mismanagement issues too. They've had a lot with a lot of people that are way above the pay grade of those people who are working in the trenches, in the toy store, in the warehouses for Toys R Us, inside even the offices out in Wayne, New Jersey. From the marketing people who are just trying to find any way to make sales for the store, to the sales associate on the floor trying to help that one kid find the right toy to be able to give it a birthday party, to the warehouse guys just trying to get things to the stores on time. And, yes, there's stories out there of other people doing not so nice things who work at Toys R Us or go into the stores that are scalpers and whatnot and doing things that are not so nice. But I'm not focusing on the negative tonight. I'm not going to focus on that. It looks like a lot of these, if not all of the Toys R Us's here in the U.S. and abroad, will be closing in 2 months or less, maybe a little longer, but not much. It's a sad day indeed. So, yeah, the news is mounting. Like from the Boston Globe, how Toys R Us became the island of misfit toys, or USA Today, 5 reasons Toys R Us failed to survive bankruptcy. To even New York Times, Toys R Us customers lament store closings. I want to cry right now. And even CNN reporting, what Toys R Us closing means to shoppers. Reading over some of these articles, it's talking about that gift cards won't be usable in 30 days or less. It's talking about how the company that owned Toys R Us, who owned KB Toys even a ways back, didn't manage it properly and just kind of let it die. And I'm not going to, again, go into all the details in the back end. This is more about the memories. This is just setting you up to let you know how this really is affecting me. Now, I'm just going to take a quick peek and see if we have any things on Twitter or Facebook. No, not yet. That's okay. This is tough stuff. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I just want to talk a little bit about what I remember about Toys R Us. And I got to go back because I have a very unique perspective and memory of Toys R Us. So let's go back to 1991. 1991, I'm in 11th grade. Yeah, that'll give you how old I am, of course. I'll be 43 next month. But anyway, let's go back to 1991. And for the last 2 or 3 years at that point, I had been going to the local KB toy store right down the road. I mean, 2 blocks from where I lived. And I'd been buying G.I. Joes and Transformers, McFarlane toys, even I think some of the Alien and Terminator toys that were coming out from Kenner at the time just because they were cool at the time. We look at them now and go, 5 points of articulation. Look at that alien. That doesn't look good. But, you know, they were cool toys. Well, the manager there knew I loved toys, knew I loved everything about toys, loved everything about KB Toys and just toys in general, offered me a job. So my first job was KB Toys. KB Toys is where I learned about selling to customers and getting to know people and really interacting with the public and getting to know how to read people and how to be, you know, just friendly. I mean, I wasn't always nice. Okay, yeah, I was always nice, but it wasn't something that I could just do naturally. And this really brought me out my shell. Part of just being around toys did that. And it let me keep part of my youth that was just who I was. And it's a lot of who all we are, not just the people who collect toys and who are collectors and sell toys or whatnot, but everybody has a piece of a toy history inside of them. They all have a favorite bat they may have hit a baseball with, maybe a favorite bike they rode around a neighborhood. Maybe it's a favorite video game system. You know, Super Nintendo was what they played as a kid. Maybe it was Atari that they played as a kid. Heck, it might even be an Xbox 360 that they played as a kid. And it may have been picked up at a KB Toys, at a Toys R Us, or even FAO Schwartz back in the day. So I bring this up because I've been in toys, and my second job after KB Toys was Toys R Us. That was in the wintertime and Christmas time of 94, and again, Christmas in 95. They were basically Christmas jobs, but I worked at Toys R Us for about 4 or 5 months at a time during these periods, and I became, for 1 year, I was the video game specialist, and I sold Super Nintendos over Sega Genesis because they made more money, and I truly believed it was a better system at the time. And then I also worked the second year, second Christmas time there, selling not only video games, but working in the bike section. Yeah, I know, an action figure guy, and I sold bikes. Go figure. But again, I got to sell bikes to kids who were wanting to do something active, but be in the toy store, and it was a family affair. You'd see mom and dad, or maybe just mom, or maybe just dad bring in 1 or 2 of the kids, and they get to pick out the bike, and they get to ride it around. And you see that joy. You saw that life in a child's eyes that was just so important to them when they were getting something to just have fun with. And they got to test it out right there in the store. Video games, a lot of times they got to do the same thing because you had the video game set up to be able to play. It was just so fun to see. And it was an important part of childhood. And it was an important part of childhood for all of us. I mean, Toys R Us goes back to 1968, 69, as far as what I remember, but they've been around for just about 70 years. In some form or fashion, Toys R Us has been here. So it's been here with us for several generations. It's what all of us know. But a lot of us remember that little jingle. And you know what? We're going to play it again because I want people to remember this. This is the jingle that we all remembered. So, Spin Master Snakes, play that again.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. We got the best for so much less. You really clip your lip.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
Gee whiz.
I don't want to grow up. Cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just hearing that makes me want to go play with toys, and not the fact that I'm surrounded by thousands of toys in the collection room here in Breaux Show Studios. It's hard for me to see something that is such a huge childhood memory for everybody to slowly go away like this, and not just a quick pull the plug and let it go. You know, I just remember being able to go into a Toys R Us store when I was, oh gosh, now let's see, we're going to go way back. We're going to go back to the time I was 13 years old. No, 12 years old. Now, a lot of you may or may not know this, but when I was 10, my father passed away. This was 1986. And a couple years, there was a couple tough years after that. But my mom and I, you know, we were taking it day by day, doing what we do to be happy. And I remember vividly starting to get back into G.I. Joe toys. And we went into a Toys R Us, the local Toys R Us down there in Shreveport, Louisiana, where they had one for a while. And I was walking down the toy aisle and I go, oh, wow, this is just so cool. There's so many cool G.I. Joe toys. My mom looking at me and goes, I don't know what we can get for you today. What did you want to get? And I look up, and you remember back in the days of, late 80s, early 80s, late 80s, 90s and whatnot, if there was a huge G.I. Joe playset or maybe a Transformer or anything, it wasn't necessarily on the shelf. It was like the bikes or the video games. You looked up, you saw a big picture of it and a tag that you could pull. So I look up and I see the Terrordrome. Yes, the Terrordrome of all things. I'm like, that's just so cool. Cobra has a base. I've got to have that base. She looks at me and goes, well, okay. And she reaches up, because I'm not quite tall enough yet. She reaches up, grabs the tag and goes, where do we go to pay for this? Yes. So we had to go pay for it at the register and then go to that little area where you would pick up things. And there we waited for this big box to come out. And I remember just being so excited and so happy after, again, a couple of tough years. And there it was. I had this really cool G.I. Joe Cobra base where the fire bat would come out. And the only place you could get it in the area where I lived was Toys R Us. Walmart was going to carry it. Target wasn't even around in the area at that point. I don't even want to say that Montgomery Ward or any of those places would have it. It was just Toys R Us. So it was the only place you could go to get these really cool, big, awesome toys. And I just remember being so happy in that store in that moment. So, yeah. I remember another time working at Toys R Us during Christmas where I was selling the video games. And I'm sitting there looking at everything, and just this one kid walked up, and I had a good, 20-minute conversation. Now, granted, I'm about 19 at the time, and I'm having this 20-minute conversation with a 13, maybe 14-year-old kid about the graphics between Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. And you could tell he was very passionate that the Genesis was a better system. And I'm a sales guy, and I'm trying to get him to really think about getting the Super Nintendo because it's got 16 million colors versus Sega Genesis 28,000 something or other, like just things like that. But in the end, he ended up getting the Genesis. I was happy because he was happy, and you could tell he was happy. He was going to go get to play Altered Beast. Okay, Altered Beast wasn't a great game, but to him it was, and he was excited to play it. So things like that are why Toys R Us is important. A store like Toys R Us is important for families to go to, for kids to go to be able to have those conversations with somebody who's just as passionate about something as you, whether it's going to be somebody that works at the store or you and your friends are going in there and you're going to go check out the new toys. You're going to go check out maybe the new video games. You're going to go check out maybe the new Lego sets. Heck, maybe you're going to check out the new Barbie doll house or see, President Barbie dolls, or you're going to go see the new My Little Pony figures, or you're going to go see, as a family, new parents, you're going to go to Babies R Us and you're going to go get that really cool bed set that looks like Lightning McQueen from Cars 3. I mean, it's... Sorry, I'm talking so much. I have to have my Deer Park water. But it's important. Things like this are important. And whether it's Toys R Us, whether it's KB Toys, or my third big job in toys, I worked at FAO Schwartz in Boston. And I worked there for 2.5 years. It's where I met at Perkle 47. We ended up dating, and I had to go to a different store. But still, things happen in a store like this, in stores like this. Not just Toys R Us, not just FAO Schwartz, not just KB Toys. Memories are made in places like this. Yes, I'm not going to discount that things can't happen. You can't have a memory made by digital connections. And heck, I'm talking to you now through a live show online. But the memories that stick with you, the memories to me, and again, this is a personal opinion, memories to me that mean the most are the ones where you interact with somebody in front of you, in person. And you can't go to a Target or a Walmart or another big box store for just toys and have that same experience with your family because, dad's going to look at maybe the auto parts and not really look at toys. Mom might be looking at, new books to teach herself how to balance a checkbook, or maybe mom's the one going to auto parts and dad's going to check out new dresses for himself. I don't know, but it's not one place that's focused towards just the kids. That's what a place like Toys R Us is. That's what a place like KB Toys and even FAO Schwartz were. They were geared more towards the kids and not towards just everybody else. And kids it's where their imagination runs wild. It's where their imaginations grow. It's where they become who they're going to become. And that, to me, is very important. That, to me, is the crux of everything in life and all of that. Really, it's where you need to be. So, yeah, that's what Toys R Us, that's what stores like this mean to me. And to see Toys R Us closing is very sad. And it's hard for me to understand how people above the pay grades of those that work really hard can let things like this happen, even when they're told that this happens or that this will happen. So, yeah. So I just want to go through some of the pictures that I put up, that I've pulled together here so that you guys can see and help me. And I'll remember a few of the things I remember. So, of course, we start off with a picture of a couple of the old storefronts and even Jeffrey and his family, including Baby G. Really? Baby G? But giraffes. Now, here's my question, and this is something I got to real research. How did they come up with a giraffe for their mascot for Toys R Us? That just always blew my mind. I don't know why that was or what made it happen, but yeah, it's just always funny to me. There's even a great ad I got a picture of, and a lot of these I just found doing Sutras in the last few days. Back to the Future ride-on toy, or a radio control car. You never saw things like that. And even a ride toy that you can get. You don't see things like that. You can't try that out in a Target or a Walmart sales floor. You got to go to Toys R Us to play with something like that. To get your kids outside and off a video game on their phone. That's again, my opinion. Another great ad I saw was this one here for the Sega Master System versus the Nintendo Entertainment System. Of course, the Sega Master System had better graphics. It did, but it didn't come with Robbie the robot. That's why the price difference way back when was $100 versus $140. Whew. And then, of course, there's a great graphic I found of Jeffrey, the original looking Jeffrey, saying, "World's biggest toy selection, riding a train." I get it, toy trains and whatnot. Our two-sided story. I mean, just things like that. It's pretty cool. To know that they were advertising in, the biggest media at the time, newspapers and things like that, is just very cool to see. And to see the format that they go with, again, I miss this. I miss seeing things like this. Yes, Toys R Us is putting out their print ads a lot still, but I don't know, something about only getting it in print ad and not online was always special. These two pages right here really stuck out when I found them too. And I remember poring over the Toys R Us catalogs as they would come in, or Toys R Us sales papers on the Sunday paper, just to see what new toys were coming out. Of course, you've got Kenner Toys, the Centurions action figures, and of course, Mask, and then of course, Floppy Dog. But of course, on the other side, you got Computron, you've got Air Raiders, you even have Visionaries. But look at that. The G.I. Joe Defiant Shuttle Complex for $120. You couldn't get that now. You might be able to put one together for that much and it'd be dirty and whatnot, but you could get that back then for $120. And that was one of those toys I got a couple years later after that Terradrome. That was a birthday present that my mom let me get. Now, I was a little bit taller, so I was able to get the tag myself. And that was so much fun. And getting that box down and pulled out, I'm like, oh my God. The box was so big, I could fit in the box. I think I might still be able to if I really crunch myself up. But that's how big the box was. And it was just awesome. And again, you wouldn't find a box taking up that much retail space on a Walmart or Target or big box retailer sales floor. Toys R Us had the perfect way to do it. You grab the tag, they pull it back from the warehouse. Now, granted, nowadays, getting the tag might be ordering online and going to pick it up at the store. Same thing. And that's a perfect way to do it. That's the way it should be done, especially in this day and age. That makes sense. But I don't know, something about the fact that that's not going to be happening around anymore is just sad. Just sad. Oh, wow. My cousin just commented on a picture I shared from RetroCon here earlier today on the Facebook page. My cousin Sharon, who lives up in Massachusetts, it was a picture that RetroCon shared. It was a great picture, and it showed all the different styles of Jeffrey from 1965 to 1975 to 1988 to 1999 to 2001. Really wasn't a version of Jeffrey. It was just a picture of a giraffe. And then 2007's version. And she's saying she liked the 75 version the best. I agree with her because that's the one I grew up with as a kid. The 88 one was more when I became 12, 13, but I remember as a kid vividly the 75 version, that's the one that had a family. So yeah. And the 07 version, it's not great. 2001 version is just a real picture of a giraffe. Giraffes are cool, but you need a kind of animated version for Jeffrey to be the logo for Toys R Us. That's my opinion. So needless to say, let's move on here. Let's go a couple more pictures here. Now, these two pictures are from one of my many visits to the Toys R Us in Toys R Us in New York City when I would travel there for work a lot. And it always struck me that this Toys R Us, biggest one in the world at the time, was just a cool place to go to. Why? Because it had so much inside, not just the toys, but you could experience and see like Spider-Man hanging from the wall. They had the animatronic T-Rex there from Jurassic Park, and it would always roar every 10, 15 minutes or so, and it was beautiful. I have lots of video of that and a few other things from that store. They also had inside a big Ferris wheel that you could ride. I wish, and I never took the time to do it, I wish I had ridden that before they closed a couple years ago. And that was right in the middle of Times Square. And that was a destination place. Now, maybe because it was Times Square, they didn't make enough money and it was more destination than it was anything else. But yeah, that's what Toys R Us was. And that's what Toys R Us should be. It should be a destination for families. It should be a destination for groups of friends and kids. It should be a destination for a kid to let his imagination fly. Or her imagination fly, to just let them realize that there's more out there than what's just in their own mind. They can find a way to bring that to life, whether it be, I'm going to go get that cool action figure of Thanos from Avengers and make my own adventure where Thanos is really nice. And when he snaps his fingers, he doesn't take out half the universe. He gives toys to every kid out there that might be supplied from KB Toys, FAO Schwarz, or Toys R Us. That's what could happen. A kid who wants to explore their imagination might be able to get a really cool paint set and paint the next thing that will be, project them to be Van Gogh of the next century. It could be the kid who goes in and she finds a really cool Lego set and combines it with Mega Bloks and a Meccano set and throws in some motors. And she has built the world's first whatever. That's what it is. That's what imagination is. And you can find that way to explore your imagination in a toy store. Now, yes, a lot of this can be done digitally and online, but there's something about having toys in your hand and getting Play-Doh and making something, or going into a toy store and experiencing something and having fun with your family and friends. Again, it's an experience that should be shared, and there should be stores like this all across the country. And this is why this bothers me so much. And this is why it's hard for me to think of Toys R Us closing for good. Now, as the sun begins to set on Toys R Us, and we've seen KB Toys go this way first about 12 years ago, and we saw FAO Schwarz do the same thing completely just a few years ago. The names are owned by companies now. KB Toys is owned by one company They bought it about a year and a half ago. FAO Schwarz is owned by a legal group and whatnot, and the family still has rights and whatnot to it. But Toys R Us was the big one. Toys R Us was the one that's worldwide, that's around every country, that you knew the jingle. You knew everybody grew up and wanted to be a Toys R Us kid. It was in your heart. It was in your mind. It was in your soul. It's in my soul. And it's hard to see this happening. Now, just today, I've been seeing reports that KB Toys might make a comeback in some form or fashion. And there's reports that have been going on the last few days, too, with everything about Toys R Us, that the Canadian side of Toys R Us and their 80-something stores might be bought by a group of toy companies and keep them running. And they might even keep a couple hundred of the U.S. stores open under the same name, under Toys R Us. Will that happen? Will KB Toys reopen? I don't know. Will Toys R Us stay open in some form or fashion? Who knows? Now, the names and the company titles and all that will remain, and somebody will own them. And we'll maybe see online stores again with KB Toys and Toys R Us. And we already know for a fact that FAO Schwarz has space rented again in New York. And FAO Schwarz will open a single store in New York City. And they had little pop-up stores all across the country in larger stores like Macy's and Barnes & Noble and stuff. And they were all right. But we're going to actually have a FAO Schwarz store. And yes, FAO Schwarz is where I met at Park 47. And there's a lot of great memories attached to that. But Toys R Us is the one that everybody could get to. Toys R Us was around the country, around the world. It was the store that you could go to get those big toys. It was the place that you could go to explore your big imaginations. And to think of it just going away completely, I don't know if any toy executives, I don't know if anybody out there with deep pockets or anything like that is listening. But if you want to see children's imagination truly explode, if you want to see children's imagination truly go where it can and will go, if you give them something and a place to go to, find a way to help keep Toys R Us open. Even if it's just in Canada, even if it's just a couple stores here in the US, find a way to keep it open and let parents and families and kids have those experiences in those toy stores. Let them be able to go in and pick that ticket to go get that big toy, or find that special art piece, or art kit to make their own thing, or to find that special Barbie doll that they can only find at Toys R Us, or to find that special action figure that it can at Toys R Us. Heck, to even have the midnight toy store openings for new Star Wars toys. With no Toys R Us, we're not going to have that. So if you're out there listening, do something and let's see what we can do. I don't expect it to happen. I don't think anybody with deep pockets listens to this show. But if you do, let me know. Reach out. Do hashtag JustBro it and say, save Toys R Us. Do hashtag JustBro it. Do a good deed a day. Hashtag JustBro it. Let kids' imagination fly. That's it. I have nothing else for this week. I didn't want to go crazy. I didn't want to do anything about, Geektastic history, anything like that. We're going to, do that soon enough. We're going to have more fun starting next week. We're going to go back to the normal format, but I just really wanted to come online tonight and just talk about this. So, and just kind of talk it out myself, let myself ramble a little bit just because it's what I do. And that's my memories of Toys R Us. I will say that I do want to hear your hashtag JustBroIt stories, doing a good deed a day. And if you happen to do something nice for a current Toys R Us employee, or if you're a Toys R Us employee out there doing something nice for a family who you've seen come in your store throughout the years. Maybe you've worked there for 10 years and you've seen their kids grow up there. Maybe you've done something nice and, I don't know, given that extra little piece of candy or little play toy or something like that to a kid, given somebody an extra little bit of a discount because their kids were so good in the store. Who knows? I want to hear it. Post on our Instagram, which is Instagram at The Breaux Show, on Facebook.com/The Breaux Show, or on Twitter at The Breaux Show. That's BREAUX. Do hashtag JustBroIt. And I'll go through them and I'll talk about them next week on the show. I want to hear your good deed stories with regards to Toys R Us or really anything. I mean, it could be something as simple as you hope. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Let me drink some water here, my dear Park. Hold on. It could be as simple as just holding a door for someone or paying for that little bit of coffee for someone behind you. So, yeah, I want to hear your Just Bro It stories. And with that said, that is it for this week for the Bro Show. I thank you guys for just listening to me kind of ramble a little bit and reminisce a little bit about Toys R Us and what it means to me to not only see it close, but what it meant to me beforehand. And I just want to say thank you. Again, I don't know if anybody's listening to this. I know there's a few people watching live right now. And I know there's a lot of people who love, talking to me about toys. Let's talk about Toys R Us even after they're gone, if they do go away, because we want to keep that memory alive. And who knows, we might see Toys R Us come back in even a better fashion in the future. So that's all. We're going to have Spin Master Snakes play us out here. Spin Master Snakes, play that beat one more time.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is.
I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy,
I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Thank you, Spin Master Snakes. And with that, folks, we are out of here. Tune in next week. We will be back next week with the normal format of the show. I will hopefully have seen a movie or two. I believe Pacific Rim and Ready Player One do come out later this week. So I'm going to try and check out both of those. And if you need to know, I already bought my tickets for Avengers Infinity War for 2 different showings because I will see that. Yes, I will see Thanos on the big screen, snap his fingers and do his thing. Although I wish he would snap his fingers and give us Toys R Us back. That's all, folks. You guys have a great night. Thank you for listening. From Alf, from intern deer number 4, and our Judge Deer. We thank you for watching and thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Remember, as always, hashtag just bro it and do a good deed a day. Have a great night, y'all. Rock and roll, everybody. Rock and roll. That's it, folks. You know what? Just because I have this picture up, we're going to do that jingle one last time to end the show out completely. Good night, y'all.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less. You really flip your lid.
From bikes to trains to
video games, the biggest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up because if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys. Oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. Good night, y'all.